Here's the rewritten script, built as one continuous voiceover with a hook front-loaded in the opening minute. It started with a video that had no business going viral. No trophy, no match point, no crowd roaring at a winner. Just two women standing on a practice court, talking, stretching, hitting a few easy balls before a tournament that hadn't even released its draw yet. And in 5 hours, that quiet, forgettable moment had over 50,000 people watching it. Fans didn't just watch, they ran. They lined up outside a practice court, phones raised, pushing for a glimpse of something that, on paper, was nothing. No stakes, no scoreline. And yet, by the end of that day, a tournament in Washington had quietly rewritten its own rulebook because of it. This is the story of how a first-round doubles match, the kind normally buried on a side court before lunch, ended up under the lights, on the biggest stage the tournament had to offer. And how one 21-year-old from the Philippines and one 4-6-year-old American legend became the reason people were watching at all. Let's go back to that practice court, because that's where the pressure actually began. Alex Eala is 21. She's still climbing, still building her name point by point on the WTA Tour. Venus Williams is 4-6, a name that doesn't need an introduction, a career that helped shape an entire era of women's tennis. On paper, they shouldn't have fit. Different generations, different tennis cultures, different chapters of history. But the moment they stepped onto that court together, something clicked that no marketing team could have manufactured. It wasn't chemistry built on a rivalry. It was contrast, raw, visible, instantly understandable. A rising star standing beside the woman who helped build the very stage she was rising on. You didn't need to know tennis to feel that. You just had to look at the photo. And people looked. Filipino fans flooded in, carrying the pride of watching one of their own share a court with a legend. American fans flooded in too, chasing every last appearance of a career they knew was entering its final chapters. Two entirely different audiences pulled toward the exact same image at the exact same time. That's rare. That's the kind of moment tournaments spend years trying to engineer, and it happened by accident, in a practice session nobody was supposed to care about. But here's where it stops being just a nice story and starts being something the tournament couldn't ignore. The crowd outside that practice court grew so large, so fast, that organizers had to physically intervene. New barriers went up. A new route was carved out between the locker room and the courts, not for show, but because the existing setup literally could not handle the number of people trying to get close. Think about that for a second. A practice session. Not a match. Not a final. A practice session forced a professional tournament to change its security plan overnight. And then came the decision that made it impossible to look away. A first-round women's doubles match, normally scheduled early in the day, tucked onto a smaller court, treated as filler before the real action begins, was moved. Moved to Stadium Court. Moved to the night session. The most valuable real estate the tournament has, handed to a match that hadn't been played yet, between two players who hadn't won a single point together in Washington. That's not tradition. That's not sentiment. That's a tournament reading the room and following the money. Because here's the twist nobody was expecting. Days before the draw, 5 major names pulled out of the women's singles field, Elena Rybakina, Jasmine Paolini among them. Just like that, Washington lost a chunk of its star power before the tournament even began. Ticket sales at risk. Broadcast interest shaky. The kind of gap that makes organizers nervous. The kind of gap that makes sponsors ask hard questions. And right when the tournament needed something, and anyone, to fill that void, the answer had already announced itself, for free, in a 5-hour viral clip. So the advertising changed. Images of established stars like Jessica Pegula and Naomi Osaka, the faces meant to carry the early promotion, quietly stepped aside. In their place, Eala and Venus, side by side, plastered across digital displays, homepage banners, promotional material all over the city. A doubles pairing, historically the undercard, the afterthought, the format nobody built a campaign around, became the face of the entire event. And it didn't stop at posters. Broadcasters noticed too. A dedicated coverage feed was built just to follow Eala and Venus, their arrival, their practice, their preparation, every unscripted moment in between. Because modern sports fans don't just want the match anymore. They want access. They want to feel like they are inside the story as it happens. And this story, a legend and a rising star, sharing a court, sharing a spotlight, was built for exactly that kind of coverage. Here's the part worth sitting with. Nobody forced this. Eala didn't demand a bigger court. Venus didn't request a night session. There was no press conference, no campaign, no strategy meeting where executives decided to bet everything on a doubles pair. This was pressure built entirely from the outside, from fans who couldn't stop watching, couldn't stop sharing, couldn't stop showing up. Views became a signal. Crowds became a signal. And when enough signals point the same direction, organizers stop calling it a trend and start calling it a plan. For Eala, this moment means something bigger than one tournament. She didn't arrive in Washington chasing attention through results. She arrived with attention already circling her before she'd played a single point. That's a different category of relevance. It's the difference between a player people are told to watch and a player people are already waiting for. Venus gives her that platform, a name American audiences already trust, already understand. And Eala gives Venus something back, forward motion, a new audience, a reason for this chapter of her career to feel less like a farewell tour and more like a handoff. So when that first serve finally goes up on stadium court, under the lights, in front of a crowd that showed up because of a practice video, remember how we got here. Nobody scheduled this moment. The fans did. The clicks did. The crowd outside a practice court, refusing to leave, did. Doubles wasn't supposed to be the headline in Washington. But somewhere between a viral clip and a change in the security plan, it became exactly that. And whatever happens on that court tonight, one thing has already been decided. Alex Eala isn't just playing in this tournament anymore. She's shaping it.